Orleans Saints fans, I am Todd Graffanini. This is John DeShazer. Day 7 of New Orleans Saints training camp here at the Ochsner Sports Performance Center. It is the New Orleans Saints training camp report right here on CST, presented by SeatGeek. JD, let's start off with the weather itself. I cannot believe it. It is August 5th, and I did not sweat at all during this practice today. That is front page news in this city.
See, you're a vet. You know better than that. You shouldn't talk about the weather. You know it's going to get oppressive hot. And so now you messed it up because this was a perfect day. This was a Chamber of Commerce day, and now Graf messed it up. So when it gets hot, folks, you know who to blame. Todd Graffanini.
I'll take full responsibility. All right, let's get to practice. Again, rather uneventful. I would say, JD, as a whole, the defense won the day.
I think the defense has really come on strong these last couple days. As we mentioned, I think the first 4 practices probably, they couldn't get a ball on the ground in pass defense. They couldn't force a turnover. They couldn't get pass breakups. They just weren't operating very well in terms of forcing the ball out of the offense's hands. But I think the last couple of days, and really culminating with today, I thought they were outstanding today in terms of being able to get some pass breakups. We saw another interception today. I think they've done a nice job here lately.
Yeah, and specifically in 7-on-7 drill, which usually the offense would have the upper hand, the defense definitely had it, and you talked about it. PBUs, incompletions, things that you don't normally see on 7-on-7. We saw it today.
Yeah, very, very clingy defensively. We saw a route where Patrick Robinson got his hands on the ball and Demario Davis comes up with the interception. I think they've just done a really good job of being around the football, swarming the football. And even when they're in one-on-one situations, even when they're in one-on-one drills, they're still being on top of the football. You rarely have seen them beat these last couple of days.
We're nearly getting to the point, JD, where we're going to have to start seeing them against other teams because we're 7 practices in now, and I think offensively and defensively, they know the personnel so well that it's getting a little bit difficult to judge things. I think that first preseason game next Saturday can't come soon enough.
Yeah, it feels like it's a long way away, but let's face facts. These guys are probably sick of seeing each other. They worked against one another in mini camp, now here in training camp. Had there been OTAs, they would have been working against one another. Then they're really ready to see someone else in a different jersey that will make the competitive juices go up a little bit more. But right now, you just have to work with what you have.
I thought head coach Sean Payton was very insightful post-practice today when he addressed the media, specifically talking about momentum shifts and how you have to take advantage of that with the defense playing so well. That's something he addressed post-practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And because the defense has had their days. We saw the offense have their days. Now it's shifted to the defense a bit here. Wouldn't be surprised if it went back to the offense at some point in time. You have those ebbs and flows in practice.
Let's hear from head coach Sean Payton post-practice.
I thought defensively that we were just talking about the momentum and how that affects games and how there's typically flows to that.
Well, JD, the quarterback battle continues with Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill. They alternate taking snaps with the ones basically on separate days. But, every throw, and you're going to hear from Sean Payton a little bit, is evaluated. The evolution of the position. There's still a long way to go. You've got 3 preseason games, and the battle continues.
Yeah, over the course of this many reps, you're going to have some throws that you really want back. And we've seen that from both quarterbacks. Now, we've seen some outstanding throws from both quarterbacks, and we've seen a couple where you say, uh-oh, you don't really want to see that one. So, they're in that process where they're just attempting to make plays, but you're attempting to be smart.
Well, continuing that thought, JD, on the quarterbacks, 2 different personalities in the huddle with Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. And I think, again, you're going to hear something very interesting from Sean Payton. Look, those guys got to be themselves. You don't want to change things up in the huddle. You don't want to change their personalities. It's such a personality-driven position.
Yeah, there's only one Drew Brees. So Drew Brees is not here. You can't make one of these guys be a Drew Brees. They have to be their natural personalities. We've seen Jameis Winston as an effusive, really magnetic guy. And Taysom Hill, not necessarily not magnetic, but a lot more business-like, I believe. So you've got to be who you are because this is a serious business, and it doesn't help if you're trying to be someone who you aren't.
Here's head coach Sean Payton on the 2 personalities of the quarterbacks.
The last thing we want to do is change who they are, their personality. Drew is a certain personality. Jameis, he's wired a certain way, no different than Taysom. So there's been no formula for what you have to have. The hard work is necessary, the attention to detail is necessary, but you know, our league has seen a history of all sorts of personalities at that position, and I think the first mistake would be trying to be someone other than yourself.
Good stuff right there. When we return to the New Orleans Saints training camp report right here on CST, our partner John DeShazer with a one-on-one with linebacker Andrew Dowell. All that and more coming up on the show. It is the New Orleans Saints training camp report right here on CST, presented by SeatGeek.
We're here with Saints linebacker Andrew Dowell, and Andrew, you've been one of the top stories of training camp so far. Just what do you think of your performance? We've seen some balls stripped, we've seen you with some punch-outs, we've seen you all over the place.
Yes, sir. Yeah, just been having a good camp, you know, and that starts on the entire defense, you know, trying to, with DA's been preaching to us in the meeting rooms, try to bring it to the field and get the ball off the offensive guys.
You know, when you're a guy in your position, obviously you need to do some things to make yourself known. Do you feel like you're doing those things so far?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's all about, you know, showing up on tape, you know, making them have conversations about you in the meeting rooms upstairs, you know, and that's something I pride myself on, just being a sideline to sideline linebacker, running all over the place, making plays.
You know, now everybody's got a story in the NFL, so give us your NFL story, how you got to the NFL, how you got here to the Saints.
Yeah, you know, my NFL story, you know, played at Michigan State with my twin brother. You know, that my younger brother, he's still at Michigan State, so to be the one that's right now currently in the NFL, you know, it's a blessing. You know, my parents love coming to the games and all that, and the biggest thing, I'm with a great organization with the Saints.
You know, how did the Saints contact you? How did you get in contact with the Saints?
Yeah, so I worked out here in 2019, been a practice squad guy, you know, just kind of being a fly on the wall, listening to Mario talk, listening to him talk about techniques, you know, and then trying to bring that into the field, trying to add that to my game. So just being around the guys in the locker room is what's made me and built me up to be the player that I am right now.
You know, you seem to be pretty instinctual out there. How comfortable do you feel defensively?
Yeah, I feel real comfortable. You know, I love playing the game of football. You know, something that I've been a football player to my core since I can remember. You know, so I love playing with instincts, love getting my hands on the ball, and that's something I've been able to do throughout camp so far. I want to continue to doing that. Now,
we always know that young guys probably have to make an impact on special teams also. Is that something that you feel comfortable with?
Yeah, yes, sir. That's another thing I pride myself on. You know, knowing the special teams calls. You know, having a guy like Craig Robinson as my role model the first few years I've been here. You know, so just following him around the building, watching what he's doing, and hopefully, you know, can replicate that on Sundays as well.
And now give us your strengths as a linebacker in the NFL. What do you feel like you do well?
Yeah, you know, a cover linebacker, sideline to sideline linebacker. You know, one of my biggest attributes is my speed as a linebacker, so I try to utilize that on every play, whether it's in the run or the pass, and then just kind of being around the ball, you know, being a ball hawk and showing up around the ball all the time.
You know, going back to getting the ball out, is that something that's instinctual also? Is that just kind of hustle, or is it a combination of both?
I say, yeah, it's all above, you know, skill, hustle, you know, and then just kind of technique as well. You know, it's something that I try to work on in the off season, knowing where the ball's at, knowing opportunities when you can punch out the ball, knowing when the offense is going to be loose with the ball, and taking advantage of that.
You know, when we asked Coach Sean Payton about you, I think one of the words he used was impressive. When you hear the head coach say things like that, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, you know, that means a lot to me, you know, especially in the position that I'm in, you know, but it's just about me being consistent, you know, showing up every day and getting after it as well. But yeah, that means the world.
You know, are you in one of those situations where you kind of feel like you need to be first guy in, last guy out? I mean, how's the film study for you?
Yeah, definitely I'm definitely on top of my film stuff. You know, me and Jameis usually the first two at the building, and there's some days when this is early in camp. You know, we'd be the first two at the buildings, but he got there before me, and he's telling me I'm late. You know, he's like, you're late today, you know, and it's 6:45 in the morning. So just having that around the locker room and you know, trying to pride myself on being a guy that's always going to do what he's supposed to do.
All right, folks, well, that's Andrew Dowell. Look forward to seeing much more of him this coming season. We're the Saints Training Camp Show here on CST. I'm John DeShazer, and we'll be right back.
Sir, thanks for having me.
Final segment of the show, the New Orleans Saints Training Camp Report right here on CST. I'm Todd Graffanini. This is John DeShazer. Well, a lot of cornerbacks have been signed recently here at the Ochsner Sports Performance Center. One of those, Prince Amukamara, who, after signing, he was in there the very next day. JD's got just as much of an opportunity to make this team as anybody. He's just got to make some plays.
Well, you love the recognition. One, he's a veteran. Two, he's got talent because he's a first-round pick. Three, he understands the easiest path to the roster is special teams. And a lot of veterans don't necessarily accept that role, but he understands that that's his role on this team. That's the way he might make this team. And the four, and probably most important, he understands that this is one big audition for the Saints, but also for the other 31 NFL teams. So he's a guy who has his head on straight. Last year was a humbling experience for him because he didn't play. He was on the practice squad for the Arizona Cardinals, didn't get a chance to get any snaps. So he should be pretty fresh in terms of wear and tear. Now, can he do enough to make this team?
Let's listen to Prince post-practice.
I'm really proud of myself. Just made sure I was ready. It's the first time I've ever had a workout for a team, and so that was new to me. And so I'm excited that I did good enough for them to sign me.
Well, that's all the time we have for this show. Tomorrow, we'll be back outside again here at the Ochsner Sports Performance Center. JD, as usual, we will be up to the minute with the updates, and hopefully, again, we get uneventful practices as we've had so far.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We also saw today, we had to report Quan Alexander on the practice field, and Grant Haley rejoins the team. Had a personal tragedy with his family, but he's back on the field also. So good to see both of those guys here in training camp.
For John DeShazer, I'm Todd Graffanini. We'll see you again. New Orleans Saints Training Camp Report right here on CST, presented by SeatGeek.